My name is Kelly Cope. I am the Chief of St. Charles County Ambulance District, and I came to the Ambulance District in January the 3rd, 1996. I actually spent my first nearly 20 years at the district on the ambulance. So I came here from Christian Hospital. I had a variety of other jobs that I performed prior to that with the EMS systems across the state. I was in a number of different services before I came here, and honestly, I came over because a couple of folks that I worked with had been here prior to me. Notably, one was Mike Hansen. Called me and said, hey, I think this is a good organization. It's small, it's a little rural at this time, but it's gonna grow and we're gonna be doing a lot of cool things. We think you'd make a good fit with us out here. And Mike and I, of course, had worked together at Christian Hospital prior to St. Charles County. 50 years to me speaks to the age of EMS in general. So I spend a lot of energy and time and a lot of what I do thinking about and trying to establish where we came from and where we're going. I'm a big believer that history designates a lot of what happens for you and why you choose to do the things that you choose to do. 1966 was essentially the beginning of EMS in this country, and an interesting feature to that is that SCCAD wasn't far behind. We were very, very early adopters of that concept, and the community, as they have been as participants in this and as willing to participate in this as they possibly could be. That goes all the way back to 1974, when they had the foresight to understand that a value of this area would be to have a good, strong EMS service across the community. There is an enormous amount of change that has occurred here based on access from roadways. The community has grown in such a fashion that those roads have put us in all kinds of new positions to get things done, add parts of our community well connected to the rest of it. And it's so large that the roads have become a huge piece of what that access allows for. And with that, access to services, access to the community at large. To me, all of the pieces of St. Charles have really become connected because of that access. I remember when I first started here, things like Highway K had basically a 1.5 lane bridge that was down by where the Pheasant Run golf course is now. And it was just really incredible to have been here long enough to see all of that growth and change. And I think the roads are connected to the access for the community at large. A lot has changed with treatment. EMS, sort of a cornerstone of EMS in general, is that we have changed a ton since we started. The original education line was really pretty basic stuff when you really consider what we do today. First aid kind of level behavior transitions into the medic environment. And I'm what would be considered a Generation 2 medic from the progression of activities from the original medics that were in the state. And so certainly have seen a lot of change, the protocols, the treatments, the ways that we operate. And I would tell you that the biggest, well, there's two really that I think of that were really big changes. One of them midstream in my career, and the other later in my career, closer to when I came off of the road. And as a game changer goes, 12 lead EKGs have made just a world of difference. I remember being in classes when we were using an old 3-lead machine and making lead changes to be able to acquire the equivalency of a 12 lead. And now the monitors, if you don't have 12 lead acquisition and it to be a strong, valued, capable machine to do a 12 lead acquisition, we're not even gonna look at that monitor. I mean, it's that embedded in what we do today, and it makes such a difference in being able to take a patient straight to the cath lab or get other treatments ready or prepared, line up all of the pieces that we're the starting point for and really make that flow work well for them to have good final outcome. The second is stroke care. That when I was early in my medic career, when you had someone who had a stroke, unfortunately, once the stroke had occurred, you really just looked at it like, this is very unfortunate, but there's not a lot we can do. And we didn't even transport code for stroke patients unless they had other healthcare issues that were going along with the stroke that were, significant stroke could have other impact points. But today, stroke care is, again, game changing. That it is a totally different approach. You find a patient in the field, one of the first things you want to know is when did the stroke happen, because depending on timing, and that time keeps extending farther and farther out, that we get the patient to an understanding of what we're dealing with, we immediately get them to a stroke center. It makes a huge difference in their outcome, can completely reverse the problem. I don't remember the year, but I remember that it was Thanksgiving. I was working with Steve McKee, who is not with us anymore. We did a rescue in the old water treatment plant, which is no longer even here. They've blown it up since then. But it was a like World War II era water treatment plant. And the environment out in that area was pretty crazy. You had to go through a field and some wooded area that essentially, sort of protected the perimeter of the water treatment plant. And there were some kids that had gone up, teenagers that had gone up and played around on the top of some of the chemical storage tanks that were these huge, probably 50, 60 foot tall concrete structures. And someone had kind of fallen in and slid down. And so he was at the bottom of this. And myself and Steve McKee had to go there with the fire crews of Cottleville and obviously try to rescue this young man. And it was Thanksgiving, so that's always a memorable thing. Your holidays are always something interesting. And so we rescued this young man, but it was really kind of crazy because Steve was a pretty small guy in stature. And I don't know that we would have been able to rescue this young man if we wouldn't have had Steve with us, to be frank, because I certainly wasn't going to fit in this little door that was at the bottom of this that was meant to allow chemicals to come out. Steve actually crawled up in there, and then we fished the backboard in to get this young man, situated on the backboard and secured, and then in a way to get him out safely. And so it's just kind of a crazy event. The second is a little more personal to me. We had a young lady who was trapped under a tractor, and the wheel of the tractor had been on her, and we took care of her. And I made an interesting connection with her, and it was a lot about her being very upset with me about having to cut her shirt off to check her out well. And I made a promise to her that I'd get her a replacement for the jersey she was wearing, because it was a big deal to her. And so we were able to do that and manage to have a follow-up opportunity that ended up being on the news, actually. But the team that got together was myself and Sean Remington and Brian Schnell, who were the team that actually got to meet back with her. We were the ones who cared for her, and then we went back and were able to deliver the shirt to her. And it's been fun because since then I've stayed to a degree connected to her and been able to see her a couple of times, or at least hear how her life has continued, and it's been really good. As they say with most successful things, you stand on the shoulders of those that came before you. And so I would very much just establish the fact that there were so many good things that have been going on at SCCAD for so many years that it established our ability to be the service that we are today, to have the opportunities that we have. And I would tell you that the real embrace that goes along with how we pivoted to be in this secret sauce environment of success currently is that we embraced really two major things. One, we embraced collaboration with our union. The union and the administration are as close as we can possibly be in terms of working together. Of course, we differ on opinions on how to operate with things day to day all the time. And so there's a lot of activity there. There's a book that speaks to productive conflict, and that's something I very much believe in, that you have to have conflict in the room of leadership to be able to say that this is a good idea, that's a good idea, this is a bad idea, that's something I'm not comfortable with, whatever. And that collaboration with the union has allowed us a lot of opportunity to be in a really good place working together with our workforce. It is a slower approach angle, but it is, in my opinion, when you have a solution, you have a good solution. You're not dealing with still creating things or fixing things along the way. The second part is our community. No debate in my mind that we have done a good job, I believe, of presenting to the community our value proposition and what we are for our community, that we care for them very much, quite literally care for them. But the community has engaged as well. We've gotten responsiveness from that community that says that they believe in our mission, they believe in what we do and how we go about doing it. And so that, I believe, is the secret sauce, the collaboration and the community engagement. And those things put together are what have allowed us all of the things that we have today. It's usually pretty safe with things like this, interviews and such, to quote a movie or quote a song, right? And so in this case, Future's So Bright, you got to wear shades. We're poised on the opportunity of really taking this place forward. I think we're really looking at ways to grow how we go about the mission and what we do day to day. And I think that honestly, we're just continuing to put more pieces together in this complex system of what we do in medical emergent response here, but in addition to that, in mobile healthcare, and really shifting that concept into the future. And I think if we do a good job putting those pieces together, maintaining our mainstay, our emergency response, and all the things that we do with our tactical EMS and the engagement with the SWAT team that we have there, our USAR team, and what we engage with on the fire department side there, we're just tightening all those relationships up. We've got new items on the forefront with the drone activity that's going on, but then MIH, you sort of pivot to the other side of the equation and really help with proactive medical care that's in the community. It really harkens back to the days of the doctor visits when the physicians didn't really have an office, they went to your home. And I think that's kind of what we're replicating a bit. We're just doing it with a different environment. The mobile nature of our business really adds itself to that possibility. And so we're sort of taking that medicine back to the people in their home. We've been doing it in an emergent setting all the time, but now we're considering it for more of a proactive method. And I think that all those pieces together really do create a lot of bright future for us.